Hello everyone, this is Mirdras here with a GranDracmon deck profile video. This is my favorite deck of all time in the Digimon TCG to use, and my most played deck, and the deck that I like to experiment with and play test the most. I know that this deck is not rogue, it's not meta, but it's just so fun, and there isn't really any other deck in the TCG that does what this deck does, so let's just jump right in because I really want to show you guys what I've been working on for this deck for the past few months. So, for starters, for the eggs, I'm running 4 copies of BT9 Pagumon and 1 copy of BT6 Tsunomon. Now, a lot of people say that Demi-Meramon is just universally the best egg for purple, which they're not wrong. But I think for this deck specifically, Demi-Meramon is not the egg you want to go for, because, well, at least in my build, because my deck theory here is that I don't really want my stack to get deleted. I'm not really working on deletion effects that much. Instead, I want to keep stuff on the board and keep them live with block or retaliation, etc. And I also need to be able to feed my trash, and I need to be able to swing over things. Now, for that to happen, I think that this BT9 Pagumon is probably the best choice. Its effect is when attacking, you may trash 1 card in your hand to have this Digimon get plus 1000 DP for the turn. Now, this is great. Because for starters, you get to trash a card to gain plus 1000 DP, which can matter in a lot of matchups. And second of all, you need to feed your trash. You need to specifically add cards to your trash that you need to evolve into later, since that's what this deck revolves around, evolving into Digimon cards from the trash. It's basically like your second hand. So if you don't have things in the trash, you essentially won't really be able to do anything really with this deck. So I think it's really important to have at least some of this Pagumon. And the other egg that you could make the argument should be the main 4 of is Tsunomon from BT6, which effect is your turn once per turn. When you trash a card in your hand, you draw 1 card. Now, this is also really good for adding, I'd say this adds draw consistency. Meanwhile, Pagumon adds what I would like to say is more of a combo consistency. So they're both, you could go 4-1 or 3-2-3. You just mess around with these two ratios really, but I think that these two are the main focuses for the GranDracmon archetype. Alright, that's enough about the eggs. So moving on, we have the level 3s, which is 4 copies of Dracmon from BT9. This card is your best level 3, and the main level 3 that you want to be seeing. It's really good. First of all, it has the on-play effect of reveal top 3 cards of your deck. You add 1 card with Undead or Dark Animal and its traits among them to your hand. Trash 1 Undead or Dark Animal and its traits. Trash 1 to send 1 to the trash, and then the rest go to the bottom of the deck. Now, this card is eroded. What it says on the text is to trash first and then add to your hand. That's wrong. You need to add to your hand first and then trash, which does matter. In case you only have 1. In case you only see 1 on the top 3, you have to add it to your hand. You can't send it to the trash, which can be good or bad. It all depends on your game state and what your hand is looking like. And its inheritable is just the bread and butter of the deck. What makes this deck really unique and fun. When attacking, this Digimon may evolve into a Digimon card with Undead or Dark Animal and its traits from your trash for its Digivolution cost. This is awesome. Now, this is what makes this deck really fun to use, and this you want to see this card really often, and it's just awesome. I also really like how generic it is. Well, because it's talking about undeads and dark animals. Like any purple undead or dark animal being released now and in the future can be considered as support for this deck or this archetype, which I really enjoy. Now the next main level 3 is 4 copies of Starter Deck 6 Gabumon. I love this card as an alternative to Evolve in the back. Oh, really, I sometimes, a lot of the times, I actually like evolving into Gabumon in the back more than Dracmon, because of his when attacking effect to trigger draw one card and discard one card, which goes perfect with this deck for you to feed into your trash if you're missing pieces in the trash to evolve into. Or you could discard Skullbaluchimon, which I'll be covering later, to trigger a whole bunch of really cool combos. And it's also just a great way to go through your deck and draw pieces that you need or for future combos, just in case you're not ready yet to really pop off. But yeah, 4 copies of ST6 Gabumon. I really like this card. I think this is like definitely the other. No matter what, you need 4 copies of Dracmon, but I think 4 copies of Gabumon is like the next staple level 3 for this deck. Now the other 4 slots, they're pretty experimental. You can really run whatever you want. At some point I was running, let's see, so I was running 2 copies of Gazimon and Psychemon as floodgates, but I eventually decided to not run floodgates in this deck anymore because one, they get removed really easily. Like for example, Psychemon blocks like Dark Knightmon or Blue Flare or Crossheart, but nowadays they can get rid of it pretty easily, especially Dark Knightmon. They can just go into Mighty Axe mode for a cost of 4, which isn't really a lot, and just delete it, and it's just like, okay, well, that didn't really accomplish a whole lot. So instead, what I opted for is to add in level 3s that would boost my deck's consistency and try to get my pieces as fast as possible, or streamline my combos. So for that, I have, first of all, 2 copies of Ignitmon, which are fresh out of BT11. You're going to see Ignitmon in a whole bunch of purple deck lists, and that's for a good reason. This card is insane. So it evolves for 0 from a Crossheart, but I mean, that doesn't really matter in this deck. 4 to play, kind of steep, but try not to play this card. It has when attacking, by deleting one of your other Digimon, delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a level less than or equal to the deleted Digimon's level. And, well, this main effect right here, this isn't one that I particularly enjoy for this deck, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm not really trying to focus on deleting my other Digimon. But despite that, I do still have some deletion synergies, which I'll show off later in a little package that I included, in which Ignitemon would synergize pretty well with. I'll get more into it once I get to the level 4s and the Tamers. But what I really like this card for is its inheritable of all turns once per turn. When you play Digimon by an effect, you gain a memory. There's only really one instance in this deck, let me think. Yeah, there's just one instance in this deck when you play a Digimon by an effect, and that's when you evolve into GranDracmon. And you may be thinking, well, that's just one time you're going to do it. I mean, that's true, but going into GranDracmon is like the main, that's like the main combo and the main thing you want to be doing in this deck. And to be able to gain a memory when going into GranDracmon and playing out purple level 3, it's really, really good. Like, it can, let's say for example you're passing to 1. If you gain a memory, you're going back to 0. You can do some shenanigans like that also. This Ignitemon is just really great, but it's also, as you can see, I wouldn't run 4 copies of it just because you're only really playing Digimon by effects when you're going into GranDracmon. So I don't really want to see this all the time. So I think 2 copies is a good spot. Now, the other 2 purple level 3s are ones that I don't really see people running too often in GranDracmon lists, and I don't understand why, because 2 copies of Labramon has been phenomenal for me, mainly because of how well it synergizes with Skullbaluchimon and how well it also synergizes with GranDracmon's combo. Now, you may know this, or you may already know this, but when you go into GranDracmon, you play purple level 3 from the trash. The main one you want to be playing is Dracmon, alright? Because of its really good on play effect and its insane inheritable. But if you want immediate value, and if you have the pieces in your hand, you can instead play Labramon for an insane combo that I'll be getting into in a combo section of either this video, or if this video gets too long, I might just make another video just based on combos for this deck, because there's quite a few, to be honest. And yeah, that's all of the level 3s. Alright, so coming up next are the level 4s. I'd say the level 4s are the most flexible spot of the deck, and the one that has the most player expression. Because there's quite a variety of level 4s that you could run with this deck, from either in archetype or outside of archetype. So I think you'll see a lot of variety within GranDracmon lists and the level 4s. But no matter what, at least in my opinion, you have to run 4 copies of Sangloopmon. You have to run it. It's part of the main engine of the deck. So it has the same inheritable as Dracmon, the when attacking evolve into an undead or dark animal from the trash. You need this. You just have to see it. You need 4 copies. It's also a dark animal, so I mean it's synergizes that way. It's dark animals, so synergizes that way. So yeah, you just need 4 copies of this. No questions asked. And next is something that people can choose to run or not. I think it's just better to run it, but it's the Dex package. I'm just running 3 copies, but 3 copies of GranDracmon. This has insane synergy with this deck. Although it can be bricky, but I think it's still worth running. For starters, one of the issues is that it's 3 to evolve, which kind of sucks. But I mean, hey, that's what it is. It has the effect of when evolving, you can trash a card with Dex, Death X in its name, or X antibody in its trace from your hand to gain a memory. That's actually really good. Like, that one Digivolvement effect is really good when I get to combos. And right here, the other one evolving effect is, if this Digimon has Darugumon in its Digivolution cards, never happening, or is evolving from the trash, that's what's going to be happening. One of your Digimon gets blocker and retaliation until the end of your opponent's turn. Now that is what makes this deck really annoying to play against. When you evolve into Dex Darugumon from the trash and give your stuff blocker and retaliation, it's pretty crazy, and it's part of the main combo, and it doesn't even end there, thanks to Skullbaluchimon, which I'll get into later. So yeah, this is the one you mainly want to be evolving into from the trash. Meanwhile, Sangloopmon is the one that you want to be evolving into from in the back. Now, as for this is a consistency piece, and one I mentioned could be a good target for Ignitemon to delete is 2 copies of Dobermon. He's a dark animal, and he has the effect that when you play this card from your hand, if Alice McCoy is in play, you reduce the cost by 2, which is awesome. Playing this for 3 feels really good. And it has the on-deletion effect to trash top 3 cards and return 1 purple Digimon or 1 purple Tamer card from the trash to your hand. I love this card in this deck. I see some people running Eismon Scatter Mode, which, I mean, granted, it's a purple deck. I mean, I don't really see... You could run it. It's purple, but for this archetype specifically, I don't see why you wouldn't want to run some form of Dobermon. Because first of all, he's a dark animal, so he synergizes. He has all that synergy going for him. And second of all, he returns cards from your trash to your hand, which is really strong with this deck. That way you get to recur Skullbaluchimons. You get to return level 3s if you're missing some. You can even return Dobermon if you want to just do it all over again. And even purple Tamers, like let's say you trashed your only Alice, or you trashed both of your memory setters. This dies, you can bring back a memory setter and use it again. Dobermon is just incredible for this deck, and I love it. I even wanted to run 3, but I stuck to 2. Next is something I recently added, is 1 copy of Black Gatomon. It has Rush. It's a dark animal, inheritable retaliation. You could play this if you happen to have 5 and Rush, swing for game. Or you could evolve into it from the trash using GranDracmon's effect to give the level 3 you just played out Rush, and it can attack. That also works. I would want to run more, but it is also bricky, because as you can see, it's 3 to evolve. Dex Darugumon's also 3 to evolve. That's a lot of level 4s that are 3 to evolve, that it just, you know, you're just gonna be bricking a whole bunch. I don't know about running multiple copies. Now, this is the next level 4, the last level 4, is a tech card that I love using in this deck that I don't really see others using. And it's 1 copy of Ogremon from EX1. This is not undead, and it's not dark animal, but it synergizes perfectly with this deck. This card it can do some really crazy and really spicy plays, and I love it. It's when attacking effect is you can trash a card in your hand to gain security attack +1, which is awesome because this deck struggles with doing a lot of security checks, and mostly you're just checking 1 at a time. So being able to check 2 with Ogremon is awesome. And then its inheritable effect is really good too. When attacking, discard a card in your hand to gain +2000 DP. That's great. I've even had times where I just evolved into this in the back and then evolve over it just for that inheritable to get that plus 2k. It's so good. I really don't understand why people aren't running more, running any copies of Ogremon and GranDracmon. I mean, I guess it's not really a popular deck to begin with, but I think it's totally worth at least one slot. I could even cut out a Black Automon for a second one, but I do like the Black Automon for that rush effect, so just one of each is what I'm playing with right now. Now moving on to the level 5s, the main level 5, probably the best card in the deck, is 4 copies of Skullbaluchimon. This card is insane. This dark type was just garbage, to be honest, before this card came out. Because of Skullbaluchimon, this whole deck, this whole archetype comes together. Its effect is, when one of your effects trashes this card in your hand, if it's your turn, one of your Digimon may evolve into one purple Digimon card with undead or dark animal in its traits from your trash for its Digivolution cost. And then it has its own one evolving effect. If Digivolving from the trash, this Digimon gains on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of your opponent's turn. Insane. I already mentioned a whole bunch of instances where you're going to be drawing one and discarding one. So imagine you discarded Skullbaluchimon. You just keep getting to evolve into undeads or dark animals in the trash just by discarding this card. And since you're discarding him and he's going to the trash, he himself is also a viable target for evolution. And it's not like that's a bad play either. He has the insane effect of giving himself on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. Now, if you go into GranDracmon's combo, you play out Dracmon, then you evolve it into Dexterugamon. Then Dexterugamon's effect, you discard a card with Dex, Death X, or X antibody in his traits to gain a memory. Well, guess what? Skullbaluchimon has X antibody in his traits. You discard him, evolve into Skullbaluchimon. You now have a blocker, retaliation, and on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of your opponent's next turn. It's crazy. It's a crazy combo, and it's super annoying to play against, especially against decks that like to swing at your security and don't really have protection, such as WarGreymon. Red WarGreymon, it really messes them up. And yeah, it's just, this card is amazing. It's what, it really keeps the deck together. As I said, it's probably the best card of the deck. Now the next level 5, only 2 copies of Matadormon. I want to run 3. I do want to, there's just no space. And I opted for another tech card in place of a third one, which I'll get to in a bit. But this is also a staple card in the deck, which it has the effect of when attacking, you can trash a card with undead or dark animal in its trace from your hand to have this Digimon gain plus 3000 DP until the end of your for this turn only. And then your turn, when this Digimon would evolve into a Digimon card from the trash, it reduces the evolution cost by 1. This is all. Both effects are just amazing. The best one is, of course, the gain plus 3000 DP when attacking, because first of all, you get to discard a card to fuel your trash, and you also get to give yourself plus 3000 DP to survive swings, or to swing over big Digimon. And he also reduces the cost of evolving from the trash by 1. Now, GranDracmon is 4 to evolve, so you can evolve for 3, potentially still being at 0 and continuing your turn that way. Yeah, Matadormon is amazing. I would want to run more, but Skullbaluchimon is just incredible. And the other tech card I opted to run, I think is too good to pass up the opportunity to run it. But before I get that, the other level 5 is 2 copies of Dexterugamon. As I said, I'm running the Dex package in this deck, and Dexterugamon is a let's see, he's undead, right? Yeah, he's undead. He has the when evolving effect. You can same as Dexterugamon, discard a card with Death X or Dex in its name or X antibody in its traits to gain a memory. Again, you can discard Skullbaluchimon to evolve yet again, which is pretty crazy. It doesn't even have to be this one; it could be anything on the board, really. But and then it's also when evolving effect from if you evolve from the trash, you get to delete a level 4 or lower from your opponent's side of the board. This is really great as removal. Before I used to only run 1 copy of it, and I kept finding instances where I'm like, I really wish I could be popping that level 4 or lower they have on the board, and I just needed more removal in general for the deck, so I opted to run a 2nd copy, and I've been really liking it, because, first of all, it gives me more level 5s to evolve into, it lets me just pop things on my opponent's board. But it also lets me proc GranDracmon's evolving effect to discard a card to gain 1 memory. Because if I don't have Skullbluchimon, I still want to gain the memory, because he's 3 to evolve, you know? If you don't have anything to discard, he's going to stay 3 to evolve, unless you're evolving from the back, and it's 3 no matter what, but yeah. Then the tech card I was talking about for level 5s is 1 copy of GranDracmon from BT6. This is essentially acting as a 3rd Matadormon, but it's so good on its own that I don't really want to replace it for a 3rd Matadormon. I'd rather run 1 copy of this card right here. It has the effect of when you trash this card in your hand, you get to tuck it underneath one of your purple Digimon on the board, and he has the inheritable of Retaliation, which is awesome because you can give your main stack Retaliation if it doesn't have it already to make it even more annoying to get rid of, or give it to one of your level 3s to swing into something and kill it. And then it has the same almost the same when attacking effect as Matadormon to discard a card in your hand to gain plus 3000 DP, except this one says any card. It doesn't have to be Undead or Dark Animal like Matadormon. So this is a really flexible card, and I really love it. It's just so fun to run this card. Even just 1 copy, you surprisingly see it quite a bit, and definitely worth running in the deck in my opinion. Now onto the boss monster of the deck. 4 copies of GranDracmon. You need 4. You need to see this card. If you don't see this card, you're not playing the game. You just won't be able to do anything. So this is the GOAT. He's so awesome. 12,000 DP, 4 to evolve. 1 evolving, you can play 1 purple level 3 Digimon card from the trash without paying its play cost. Then, end of attack, once per turn. This is the insane part. You can evolve 1 of your other Digimon into a Digimon card with Undead or Dark Animal in its traits from your trash without paying its memory cost. So at the end of your attack, you evolve something for free from the trash, for absolutely free. It doesn't have any sort of level restriction. So let's say they make a level 7 Undead or Dark Animal in the future. You can even evolve into a level 7 for free. Who knows if they'll ever do that? That'd be kind of crazy for this deck. You can evolve into a level 4, a 5, 6, all for free. It doesn't matter. It's once per turn though, so if you unsuspend and try to swing again, it won't work. That would be even crazier, but yeah. So yeah, this card is awesome. This is what makes this deck spin, and what makes it super unique. You want to run 4. It's your best level 6 to go into, and it enables all of your main combos. You know, might as well go over 1 combo real quick, but one really good combo is to have Gabumon, and then a Sanglutmon, and a Matadormon in the back. You push up with 3. You swing with Matadormon. You discard GranDracmon, or and let's say you already had a Dracmon in the trash, and then you discard a GranDracmon because you're discarding 1 from Gabumon also. Then you get to evolve into GranDracmon from the trash just for 3. You play Dracmon for free. Dracmon's on play effect. You reveal top 3. You can feel your trash or hand. Then end of attack, if he lives, evolve into GranDracmon for free. Then GranDracmon's effect, discard a Skullbluchimon, proc Skullbluchimon's effect, evolve into Skullbluchimon. Now you have a GranDracmon that is suspended, but as protection for him, you have a blocker, retaliation, and on deletion delete 1 of your Digimon, Skullbluchimon, right here for your opponent to mess with. And even if they do, like let's say they play Chaos Degradation or Gaia Force to get rid of your GranDracmon, it's gonna go to the trash, unless it's Chaos Degradation, but it's gonna go, let's say it goes to your trash. Next turn, you still have this guy right here. You can just swing, proc Dracmon's effect, then just evolve into GranDracmon again, and then just do it all over again. It's crazy. And super fun. Yeah, that's what I would say is like the main, that would be like the bread and butter combo. Probably the combo that you'd be using the most. Now moving on to more level 6s. 2 copies of Dextorugoromon. Again, focusing on some of the Dex package here. This card is really good removal. I was actually running, let's see. I was actually running only 1 Dextorugomon and 1 copy of Venomiotismon. Venomousman had the effect of Security Attack +1, and opponent's turn, when one of your opponent's Digimon gets suspended, I gain a memory, and it's not once per turn, so it would happen over and over again. But I opted to take it out for a second copy of Dexterugormon because I just needed more removal. With this deck, you're sort of limited in removal options, so that's why I opted to run another copy of Dexterugormon and now another copy of Dexterugormon, just to have more removal, to get rid of stuff on your opponent's board. Now, for Dexterugormon's effect, when evolving, if this Digimon evolves from the trash, you delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level, which can be really crazy, or can be not that good, depending on the board state, obviously. Let's say they have a 5, a 6, a 5, 6, and a level 3, well, you're just popping the level 3, that's it. But if they have like a board of all 5s, the whole board is gone. So yeah, this could be crazy and it could be not too crazy at the same time. But you can also combo with Dexterugormon, for example, like pop one of their lower levels and then evolve into this guy, and then pop everything else. So that's one combo. That's another reason why I bumped up Dexterugormon. And yeah, I'm pretty glad that I bumped this up to 2, because you definitely want to have more removal in this deck, and you want to have more powerful evolution effects that just happen by evolving. Because if you use GranDracmon's effect to evolve into this guy for free, you get immediate value, which is what you're looking for. Oh, and he also has the on deletion effect. He plays a purple level 3 from the trash for free, which is pretty good. But if you have 5 cards with Dex or Death X in their names in the trash, you have to play DeathXmon from the trash for free, which is even crazier. Now the last level 6 is one copy of Gulfmon. You don't really want to run too many copies of this. It doesn't come up that often, but when it does come up, it's really good, and it's really strong when it does. It has the effect of when evolving, all players trash cards in their hand until they only have 5 cards left. This can be insane against combo decks, like for example, Melga X, because they have to discard like all of the cards that they have in their hand and lose a whole bunch of combo pieces. And then the second effect is your turn once per turn. When one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, you may unsuspend one of your Digimon. So it doesn't have to be this Digimon, it can be any Digimon that you unsuspend. This is going to be really good to get extra swings in. Like I said, this deck struggles in getting a whole bunch of swings in, so this is one way to unsuspend and swing another time. So yeah, Gulfmon's really good. I think it's definitely worth running at least one copy. Now on to level 7s, just one copy of DeathXmon. I think everybody knows that this card is insane and how strong it is. And for this deck, it's especially really good because you can evolve over your level 6s with it. You have to play for free if you have the trash set up with Dexterugormon. You have to bring him back to your hand with Dobermon. So yeah, this card's really good. In case you didn't know, it's 6 to evolve, 15,000 DP. And when you would play this card, you reduce the play cost for each Digimon and Tamer your opponent has in play by 3. So you reduce it by 3 for every Tamer or Digimon they have in play. Pretty crazy. And it has the effect of on play and when Digivolving, Digivolve 1 on all of your opponent's Digimon. Then delete everything that's level 4 or lower. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, once per turn, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So it's removal on removal. It's pretty crazy. Like I said, this deck struggles with removal options, so running at least 1 to 2 copies of DeathXmon is definitely something you want to be looking into. If you don't have DeathXmon though, I would just run more option cards, to be honest, or a Tamer card. Just boost consistency if you in case you don't have DeathXmon. But for this deck, you're really gonna want. You're really gonna want. It has really good synergies with the deck. And that's all for the Digimon. Moving on to the Tamers. I run 2 copies of Matt Ishida from BT2. I love this memory setter for this deck because, like I said, you do want to have stuff in your trash. You don't really want to be pulling them out too often. But Matt Ishida can bring back option cards, which is really good. In case you're missing, you want to reuse memory boosts or other options, for example, or removal options. But another great thing is I can bring back Sculptluchimon from the trash, which is what I love doing the most, because you only have 4 Sculptluchimons. I wish you could have 8, to be honest. This card is so damn good. That's how good it is. But if you're playing Matt Ishida's or it's getting hidden security, you can just keep bringing back Sculptluchimons from the trash and reusing them over and over again. So that's pretty insane. Another good thing to do with Matt Ishida is if you're breaking, bring back a level 3 that you're missing. or just, you know, any other piece that you want in your hand. Like for example, another one I like to bring back to my hand is BT11 or GranDracmon, because these are the main level 5s I want to be evolving into in the back. So it's really good to have them in my hand, not necessarily in my trash. The ones I want to have in my trash all the time really are GranDracmon or just maybe one copy of BT11, but yeah. Now the other 2 tamers I'm running are to go in really good sync with Doberman, 2 copies of Alice McCoy. Not too many people run this card, but with this deck, I think it's really worth it, and it can enable some really nutty combos. Now it has the effect of your turn once per turn. When one of your Digimon would evolve into a level from a 5 to a 6, you may delete one of your other Digimon to reduce the Digivolution cost by 3. Now I know I said that I don't really like deleting my stack in this deck, but Alice McCoy is an exception, especially if I have Doberman on the board. For example, if I have Alice in play, I get to play Doberman for only a cost of 3. Then I can use her effect to delete the Doberman to reduce the evolution cost by 3. So I essentially just used that 3 memory for free and was able to trash top 3 cards and bring back a Digimon card from my trash for nothing, really. And that's just really good. Or if you just have an extra level 3 on the board, which you could have, because GranDracmon is playing them for free, Goremon's playing it on deletion. You could delete that to reduce the cost of evolving into 5 to a 6. Another example would be if let's see. Oh, if you swing with Doberman and it lives, you can then delete it with Alice McCoy's effect, so that your main stack can go into a level 6 faster. And then yes, you get to activate Doberman's on deletion effect again also there, which yeah, it's just, I think Alice McCoy is really good for this deck. And another thing I really like about this card, which is pretty underrated, is that it's 2 to play. As you might have noticed, the play costs for this deck, they're not really cheap. Like 4, 20, 12, 13, 12, 7, 8, 8. If you brick, you brick, really. And there's even a 4 to play level 3. Having something that's 2 to play to memory choke is really good. And it being a tamer, it's not like they can get rid of it too easily, like let's say I just play level 3. So yeah, that's also a good usage for it. Now moving on to the option cards. This is another kind of spicy. I don't think anyone really wants this card anymore. But I was looking into a whole bunch of different kinds of purple option cards to use this deck, and I found that this card could be pretty useful, and it has served pretty well. 1 copy of Darkness Claw from BT2. This card is really interesting. It costs 1, and it gives one of your Digimon plus 3000 DP. This is really good when I don't have Matadormon or GranDracmon while swinging, so I don't get the plus 3000 DP. Well, I can give it with this guy. Or let's say it's the turn afterwards. Now that I'm evolved over these guys, there's no real ways for me to gain DP unless I have Pagumon or Ogremon in my stack, but even that may not be enough. So you playing 1 to give plus 3000 DP can be really strong if you're trying to swing over something that has a lot of DP. But not even just that, I love the security effect. It's Hammer Spark and security. Security, gain 2 memory. This is really good. Gain 2 memory. You could run, I have it right here. You could run Jack Raid instead, but early game it's kind of a brick. I'd rather have something that I can use, because I could even use this with Ogremon to give him 8,000 DP, which is kind of funny. So yeah, I've been experimenting with this, and so far it's been doing pretty well. I like it so far. Now onto my main removal option, 2 copies of Metal Impulse. This is the best removal option available to GranDracmon. It comes at a cost though, because it's purple and black. You can only use this from your hand if you have one of the dexes on the board, really. That is the main drawback for this card. That's why it can be pretty bricky in your hand, which is why I only run 2. I ran 3 at some point, but it was super bricky. So I run just 2 copies. Now let's go into its effect. Its effect is main, trash up to 3 cards in your hand. For each card trashed by this effect, you de-Digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon, so it has to be the same stack. Then you delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. That can be anything, really. So it doesn't have to be the stack that you de-Digivolved, it can be one of the other Digimon. And it's only 6 to play, which is pretty crazy. then its security effect is just activate the main effect. And another great thing is that it's discarding cards in your hand. You're fueling your trash, you know? So this card it's just amazing. I wish there was an easier way to play it from hand, but at the current moment, you have to have a Dex on the board for you to use it from the hand. There's been times where I have to evolve into GranDracmon in the back for 3, just so that I can cast this card from my hand, which, yeah, it doesn't feel too good, so... maybe I could try bumping up GranDracmon to 4 again to try to boost the consistency of this card, but I still think it's worth running. That's how strong this card is, especially in security. Being able to de-digivolve as a purple deck isn't something you get to see very often, and it will catch a lot of people off guard, and this card can literally save you if it's in your security. Okay, then moving on to the last card of the deck. 3 copies of Purple Memory Boost. This used to be Miss Memory Boost, and I used to only run 2, but I bumped it up to 3 Purple Memory Boost instead. You may be thinking that why not run Miss Memory Boost because you want to fuel your trash, right? Well, that's true, but I want to pick and choose what goes into my trash. I don't really want to randomly discard things unless it's Doberman, because Doberman I can bring back something from the trash in case I trash something I don't like. I'll just bring it back to my hand with Doberman second effect. But with a Miss Memory Boost, let's say I'm going turn 1, I have no level 3s, I play Miss Memory Boost, I trash 2 level 3s and pull, I don't know, I pull like a level 6 or something. That feels terrible. I'm still bricked, and now I have even less chance to unbrick, and it's just, you know. I think this is what you want to use for this deck specifically, because let's say you're missing a GranDracmon to get that block retaliation, or let's say you're missing GranDracmon, your vital piece for this deck, or you want to fish for your Death Xmon, or fish for a Black Automon or an Ogremon. Your best shot is playing Purple Memory Boost, reveal top 4 and take it. Well, another good thing is to take back Matadormon if you don't have it, or Skullbluchimon. This is just really good to search, because you need search power in this deck. You need to be able to search for your pieces, and I used to only run 2, but after bumping up to 3, I find this deck has become much more consistent, because it can also be hit in security. It's basically like Hammer Spark, except delayed. On your turn, you trash it to gain 2, because another problem with this deck is that it's a memory hog. It really eats up your memory. So having ways to boost your memory up during your turn, it's amazing. It's really amazing. A lot of the combos they don't require you to be at 3. You can really do most of the combos at any sort of memory as long as you have a level 5 on the board. The problem is how much you're going to be passing over to your opponent. So having memory boosts really saves the day, and having memory setters also. So, yeah, this is a deck list, guys. I really love this deck. It's super fun. I've been experimenting with it for a long time, and it's going to probably be my main deck, and I'll still continue to try to improve on it. I'm also trying to max rarity it, in case you might have noticed. Missing 1 pre-release Dracmon, and, well, these pre-release GranDracmons and GranDracmons, I don't have them, obviously, but they're kind of crazy in price, so who knows if I'll ever get those, to be honest. But yeah, I definitely recommend trying this deck out. It's dirt cheap. The only expensive card is Death Xmon, really. And I mean, you could replace it with, let's say, you could run maybe a 4th Purple Memory Boost, or another Darkness Claw, another Metal Impulse, another Memory Setter, another Doberman or Alice, or another Black Automon, or another Ogremon. You could replace it. You know, it's not like you need it for this deck, but if you have it, definitely run it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I'll be making another video that focuses on combos for this deck, since I don't want to make this video super long, and I just want to make more opportunities to talk about this deck. So, yep. So I'll catch you guys when that video comes up. See ya.